Epe has been a destination for affordable land banking in Lagos for almost a decade now, where you can get freehold land at cheap prices from real estate companies. But like I said in one of my previous videos, that the idea of freehold in Epe is about to come to an end. You see, regardless of whether the land you're buying is freehold or not, there is a master plan for Epe, a land use that gives direction for every development in the region. This master plan was put together, at first in 2017, and the idea behind it was to establish some developmental guidelines for the whole of Epe. These legends here all represent different land use on this master plan. Now, on this plan, you see the yellow colored parts are residential, while the brown colored parts are for mixed use. The red are for education, some are military. But you notice there's so many green and light green on this plan, which means agriculture and forestry. So does that mean that all these parts are actually going to be used for agriculture and forestry? Not really. There are some agriculture and forestry zone parts of Epe that would still eventually be regularized and converted into residential purposes. But that's also not a very direct thing now. It's a bit complicated at the moment. You see, a lot is changing about Epe, and the government is are really switching up a lot of policies about land matters as far as Epe is concerned, and you really have to be careful. And as a matter of fact, there's going to be a new master plan for Epe, and this master plan is going to house all of these new policy changes. And I tell you for a fact, this new master plan could come as a shock to a lot of investors and not so informed real estate developers, because a lot is coming to Epe. I'm not saying all of this to scare you, but to make you really understand what is coming. The soft copy of the new master plan is not out yet. I would have loved to give you guys the full gist of the story. But regardless, let me give you guys some hint on what is coming. You see, there is a plan to create a new residential scheme in Epe. It is called the Epe Mixed Developmental Scheme. I don't think this is news to a lot of people anymore. It's called Epe Mixed Developmental Scheme, and this scheme is going to cover 8 different zones in Epe. So what I said, 8 different zones in Epe. So these are the 8 zones. The implication of this now is that all of these 8 zones will most likely be acquired by the government for the Epe Mixed Developmental Scheme. Now, for investors in this acquired portion in these 8 zones, this does not mean that all your land is entirely gone. Not really, it does not mean that your land is gone. The thing now is that the developers that you bought from will just have to approach the government to pay the required amounts to get an allocation of the land, which will be very expensive. Else, the land would be allocated to another developer or investor.